Action, and welcome back to Barstool Baseball. These are the 2023 season previews. This is the AL Central show. I am joined by two of our in-house experts, White Sox Dave and Wild Thing Chris Castellani. But before we get to the preview, again, a quick thank you to Rob Manfred for personally sponsoring and endorsing this preview product show. Rob, you're my guy. Thank you very much for helping us grow the game. Okay, so let's get into it. This one's pretty easy here, guys. When I say experts, I do think the AL Central is our most deeply, locally connected division at Barstool.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I feel like there's enough connections there. I feel like there's enough pain that's shared between all of us when it comes to our teams. And I feel like it's consistently the most maligned division, whether by us or by just the general public. Maybe that's fair, maybe it's not, but obviously we'll talk about it here.
I don't think that's unfair at all. It's a loser division through and through. I mean, obviously being only 3 divisions in each league, you're going to have the random 2014, 2015 Royals where they go to back-to-back World Series, and then the Guardians have been good for years now. But as a whole, it's a dog shit division, and I hate it.
Yeah, there's always that glimmer of hope of competition in the playoffs, but you see it every single year where the AL Central, whoever it is, in some capacity, they do fall short. Now, that said, I want to have some fun this season. I said, you guys are experts. This is the point of Barstool Baseball. If you're new to this channel, please subscribe. White Sox Dave's been covering the White Sox for over a decade now at Barstool. And Castellani's been doing the Tigers. If you've heard his story on the streams, this is one of the best Tigers guys that will walk the earth. And we're going to prove it here. Let's get into these 9 topics. We put 9 topics together. As you've seen before in the other previews. Leading up, I'll just start, guys. Division winner. I have the White Sox. My dad's a huge White Sox fan. I'll be biased till I die towards their advance. I think the White Sox spin it around. I think they come back, but I'm sure somebody else on this panel will explain it better. Chris, what do you got?
Yeah, I like the White Sox more than most people do this year. I think that they became a very easy target for people during this offseason. But look, the Zips projections and pretty much all projections are down on whoever wins this division. I believe that a recent total had the Guardians winning this division, winning 83 games. I don't see that happening. But I think there has been a lot of discussion internally about whether or not Cleveland can repeat what they did last year. And my question is, why not? This was a very young core, really good middle infield. Obviously, you know what J-Ram's capable of. They develop starting pitching better than anybody. And they don't make a ton of noise. And I mean that as a positive. I feel like you don't hear a whole lot about nonsense that goes on in the clubhouse. Tito does a tremendous job there. It's a young core. I like the offseason they had. While quiet, I do think Josh Bell's a really good signing for them. Give me Cleveland again. I think that they win. I think it's going to be a close race. I actually think 3 teams in this division are over 500, but I think Cleveland pulls away at the end.
Yeah, I agree with Chris to an extent at least, but it is a 3-team race. It's the Twins, it's the White Sox, and it's the Guardians. I want to pick the Guardians to win this division so badly. I don't know what I'm thinking with, whether it is my head, my dick, my brain, my stomach. It's not necessarily my heart, though. But
it's all crotch, Dave.
I need the White Sox to win the division. I think they're going to win the division, but I want to pick the Guardians to win the division so fucking bad, just so I can rub the White Sox nose in it, like the puppy analogy. And I hate the White Sox. I actually, as an AL Central, fan, I should hate the Guardians. I should loathe the Guardians, but I really don't. Not in any way. Tito Francona.
No, real baseball fans don't hate their rivals. I don't like St. Louis Cardinals trolls, but I have tremendous respect for that organization. We're talking about the AL Central, though, and I know what you're talking about. The Guardians do it on such a low budget. I'm sure part of you wishes the White Sox did it. I do want it because this is going to come up throughout these topics. So let's keep it. That's the 9 topics are innings. If that was an inning, we fucking loaded the bases, threw 33 pitches on the top and the bottom. Let's get a quick 1, 2, 3 second inning here. Dead last, I have the Tigers.
You see, okay, this is probably going to be unsurprising to people. I do have the Royals, just because, and we'll talk a little bit more about the Tigers at some point here. I have very little faith in the Royals player development at this point, at least as it pertains to pitching. Like what they're doing with the position players. We like Vinny. We like Bobby Witt, but it's been a long time since they've developed pitching there, man. And as much as I like Brady Singer, I don't think he is necessarily an ace in a rotation. And I do think that some of the years that they got recently from guys like Perez were more anomalies than anything else. So, yeah, I think they're going to struggle quite a bit.
Yeah, I think the Royals had the chance to be one of the absolute worst teams in baseball, along with Detroit. But I think gun to head, I would have the Royals inching out Detroit. I mean, like it or not, the Tigers kind of were sort of going for it last year, and they still have that core. You never know on a rebound. It's not like Javi Baez is old by any means. He was bad last year. Still swings at everything if you watch him in the WBC this year, but he has the ability to carry an offense for a month stretch. And the Tigers could go that had that 23-7 stretch where they just are awesome, but as a whole on the season just not very good. I don't see that out of the Royals at all. I think the Royals are going to be one of the absolute worst teams in baseball this year, and just rack up the wins against them.
I mean, I know you're doing this to get to me, and you guys are doing a good job at getting to me because I'm trying to adopt the Royals. Vinny's out here on the fucking grind making the vlogs. Like, Michael Massey's a Brother Rice guy, and you guys are doing a good job at getting to me. I'm tough enough, though. The Royals are not coming in last place. We're going to get to them later. Let's stay positive. Best hitter in the division. I have Tim Anderson, and I think he still has another gear to get to, either defensively or with his power. Something will improve as he continues to get older if he stays healthy. I have Tim Anderson. I will say I think he's the best natural, pure, athletic hitter in baseball.
Yeah, I can see that. His bat to ball skills are so good, yeah, and in that leadoff spot especially, he's such a killer against the Tigers. But I wanted to go Luis Robert here. I've been high on him for a long time. He was my MVP prediction last season. I do have my concerns about the walk rate. He's walked 51 times in 222 games. That's just not going to cut it. So, as cliche as it is, I got to go with the guy who's been doing it for almost a decade now in that division. That's J-Ram. Jose Ramirez just continues to get it done. Reaching that point where you wonder if Cooperstown is a legitimate thing for him. I mean, he's not that far off at this point. He's been doing it for a while. Been a part of that lineup forever. I got to go J-Ram.
J-Ram has an MVP, correct?
Yeah, I won it in the COVID year.
Yeah,
I'm sorry. No, you're Bray. You won it that year. J-Ram finished second.
Okay, so he's got 2 second place finishes in MVP because he was second last year, right? It's J-Ram. J-Ram is the best hitter in the division, one of the best. I mean, from both sides. You flip this guy as a switch hitter, his statistics are like carbon copies from each side of the plate. That's pretty invaluable because that gives your whole lineup better balance. And like he is just not slowed down. I had a feature out on him last year at like plus 2,000 to win MVP, and I obviously Judge ran away with that, but for a while it was looking like J Ram has a legitimate shot at winning this thing. But I love Tim Anderson. And he looked fantastic in the WBC when he uses right field and isn't over aggressive trying to hit pitches to the left side. He's as good as anybody, but there's too much. There's been a little too much variance, and the injury concern obviously is there with everybody on that team. But until TA does it, J Ram's the only answer.
Hey, I will stay with the Guardians for a minute here as we get to the next topic. Before, though, I did not know this about Jose Ramirez. I learned it this year. Apparently, one of the great inherent advantages to his game is the length of his arms. Apparently, his arms are like 70% the length of like a regular arm. Yeah. Like, so his inside, like the inside part of the plate to him for like people with normally proportioned limbs, the inside part of the plate is like the middle of the plate.
Yeah, it's great. I've heard that too.
I don't know. Take that for what it is. All right. I'm staying with the Guardians, though. This is a really bold, could potentially stupid thing for me to say publicly, which is why I'm happy to say it out loud. I'm going best pitcher. I'm going to stay with the Guardians. I think Tristan McKenzie gets no love. And even if he's the third best pitcher in the division, I'm going to take the next 10 to 15 seconds to remind you guys. He had a sub-1 whip last year as a 24-year-old on a team that had like no identity. And then he had great postseason moments. So I have like a huge outlook for McKenzie this year.
That's a fantastic pick. He's in a great organization. Obviously, we talked a million times about their ability to develop starting pitching. He got better as the year went along last year. Some really good start in the postseason against the Rays. I almost went with him, but I'm going to go with the pick that broke out last season because he's a guy I was always high on, and I think he may have, in terms of stuff, top 5 in baseball, top 3. That's Dylan Cease. Outside of being a Tiger killer, that the strikeout numbers are going to be there. Last year, the command was a million times better. I think we talk about guys who I think have another gear to them. I think Cease has that. He was just a revelation a season ago. I think that continues in 23.
I don't disagree with that. I think that's in terms of pitch, the rest of the rotations in the division. I think that's kind of chalky. I love the Tristan McKenzie pick because the dude's just filthy and he did figure it out last year. No one said that. But I'm going with Giolito. He had an awful year last year. He'll be the first to tell you that. But it's a contract year for him. He has not been shy about having the players union's back and the players union having his back, and he's going to try to get paid. So whatever he does to do that, I don't care. But I have a feeling he's going to go off this year. He's like you can see that he's got that common ride he had on his fastball prior to last year. He's got it back in spring training, and his slider and off speed. His changeup's always there, but his slider looks like it has more bite and depth to it right now too. So I think he's going to have a huge year, and if he doesn't, then there's a couple guys on that team that are kind of the fulcrums of their success. Giolito's the fulcrum of that because you know what you're going to get out of the rest of the staff for the most part. Lynn Kopech hopefully gives you good innings. Giolito, if he's back to his 2021 and earlier self, they win the division.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
We like Giolito too a lot, historically speaking, when Dave and I talk baseball. That's a little Easter egg for day one Redline radio guys that are walking this earth and stuff that just heard the word fulcrum twice, and we got a good Lucas Giolito breakdown. But sincerely, is he at that point? And I know we have to keep moving. I want to go back to Giolito because you bring up like whatever he's willing to do. You know, this is a guy who'll take yoga and go to Pilates, and if you told him that climbing a mountain would give him slightly better command, he'll go climb the mountain. He'll do anything he wants. Are you talking about the sandpaper, Vagisil, jalapeno in the nose type stuff?
I mean, not necessarily, but if he wants to, by all means, just don't get caught. Like I'm a big proponent of a don't get caught, and you didn't do the crime. So whatever he has to do, go do it. Go do it.
Okay. You talked about breakout, wild thing. You talked about breakout with Dylan Cease. So let's do breakout candidates for this year. And I'm biased. I'm taking Vinny here. I mean, of course, and you will know when we're together, you'll know why I'm taking Vinny. And it's more than just, I'll tell you the OPS, the walk, strikeout, whatever. The kid is different. He's natural. I've been around a lot of professional baseball players, from the bullpen catchers and the minor league guys and the guys who didn't get drafted. Like the shittiest of the shittiest and the highest of the highest. What is really unique about this kid is the attitude. What does that pitcher do? He's like, I don't know. I'm just here to fucking hit it hard. Like, why does everybody want to complicate stuff? I just want to hit the ball hard. And I think it's going to be like I think the throwback personality pulls me in. But when you look at the skill set, you look where the game's evolving and stuff, but how simple he is. And then you go on to look at the numbers. It's like, holy fuck, if this guy can keep that type of attitude throughout his career, that positivity and stuff, very reminiscent of a young Anthony Rizzo. Very reminiscent.
Yeah, and a really good WBC as well. I think that's going to help build his confidence.
And thanks for making all that. Thanks for sending us the
yeah, I mean, hopefully, yeah. Look,
I'm biased. I'm admitting this now. I'm biased.
Well, no, that plays into mine though, because I am as well. This is my one homer pick. But watching him in spring and even watching him in the little bit we saw last year, I do think Riley Green's going to have a wonderful season, and I think he's going to be a wonderful player for Detroit. I think that last season what was really lacking is the power. It seems like he's found the power again. New regime, new GM. I think that their new hitting coach is going to do wonders for him. The last time the Tigers had a position player that they developed who got MVP votes was Alex Avila, which there's an irony to that, which was 2011. So it's been 12 years since they drafted a position player who got MVP votes. That's going to change. Not saying it's going to be this year. Riley Green's going to have a wonderful season, though, and I think he's going to break out for Detroit.
I don't hate the Pasquantino pick. He's obviously not, hyper lauded in national media coverage, but he's a fucking beast. But he my favorite part about him is his physical sheer size. He's built like Rizzo. He's built like fucking Rizzo. He's like what 6'3", 6'4", like
Yeah.
250. He's huge. But he
Yeah.
doesn't he doesn't come with like that Kyle Schwarber or what's his face on the Mets now. That was also on the Vogelbach. Not
Vogelbach.
like that. Like he's not like a 3 outcome hitter. He's a guy who kind of sprays the ball
Yeah.
and hasn't tapped into that power. But the power is obviously there because of his physical size. I don't know. Maybe we've already talked about how the Royals aren't the best player development organization, but if he finds something in his swing where he can develop like a natural loft to the ball, I have a feeling the balls are going to be fucking like super balls this year. You know,
Yeah.
the balls going to be, and who knows? Maybe he goes off for 35, 100. He walks at like a 12, 13% clip, I'm pretty sure, and he doesn't strike out. He strikes out at like a 10% clip. He walks more than he strikes out, and you know maybe he throws out that random like MVP ish quality year. And if he does, then the Royals will be edging out the Tigers for last place in the division. But I think Oscar Colas, this dude's a fucking athlete, first and foremost. But I watched him against it was Corbin Burns in a spring training game like a week ago. He was just spitting on all these cutters off the plate, just spitting on them. Like 2 inches off the plate, like real good pitcher's pitches that he hadn't probably seen yet in his career. Just took a walk. And I was like, that's the kind of shit I fucking love to see. Because, you know, Tim Anderson or all these other hyper aggressive assholes in the Sox lineup, they would have swung at that. So I'm basing it on one spring at bat. He is a top 100 prospect for that shit, but I think he's going to have a good year. And he plays an awesome outfield. So
Appreciate that. And let this be clear. This is the only preview show that's going to give an Oscar. How do I say it? Colas? Okay. Oscar Colas endorsement on the back of one plate appearance. One spring training plate appearance.
He did it all last year too. And
he's
yeah.
good. He's good. He's a good player. Yeah. I'm messing a bit, but there is negativity to the game. I do want to get to the regression aspect. There's some great players in the AL Central, and some of them could have a bad year this year. I'm taking Stephen Kwan just because the fact that the Guardians won the division last year, and if I wanted to strategize and beat the Guardians, I know someone's going to say, like, well, keep Jose Ramirez. You got to shut down Jose Ramirez. Bro, it's way easier to figure out how to beat Stephen Kwan. And if you keep Kwan off the bases and stuff like that. So my point is, like, I think the league has had an offseason. And when you think about, all right, we're playing the Guardians, we're going to strategize. And this is how deep these front offices are. Like, what would be the roadmap, or how do you strategize? I just see Stephen Kwan. I feel like the league, everybody's going to have to make these adjustments. And those adjustments are going to be in, up, hard. He's got no power. And there's like, this is mean to Guardians fans, and I'm being mean because I don't want to shit on Stephen Kwan. He's a phenomenal baseball player. He's a Gold Glove outfielder. He will hit for a high average. He will get on base. But I don't know if he's just as dynamic, the guy that we know now. I think he starts to do.
That's fair. No, it's fair. I think regression doesn't always imply that somebody is going to long-term be a bad player. And that's why I want to make that known with the guy I'm choosing, because he had an amazing year last year. I mean, he had a 7.4 B-WAR last year. But offensively, there's some numbers that tell a different story. 29th percentile in average exit velo, only 36th percentile in hard hit rate. Andres Jimenez, great defender. I do really like that Guardians infield. I don't think he's going to regress to a point where he's going to look like he did, in his first 2 seasons. But I don't think offensively he's going to put up the numbers that he put up a year ago. He could get back there, but I mean, that was a very quiet 7-WAR season. Don't see him repeating that success in 23.
I love both of those answers. I got Buxton because for kind of the opposite reasons that Chris just talked about with Andres Jimenez, but Buxton shit on the ball last year, but his average was low. Strikeout rate was still high. I just don't trust. I tried telling this to KFC prior to the Edwin Diaz thing. I'm like, I know a stinky organization when I see one, and I was just arguing with Angels fans about this because they always come back to the White Sox, and I'm like, I'm using this. Like, I'm a White Sox fan. I'm a loser. I know what losing looks like. Nobody knows what losing looks like better than I do. So I can pick out the stink on organizations. And those organizations fucking stink. But Stephen Kwan, to Chris's point, and Andre, it's the same thing. Buxton, the Twins, that's a stinky organization. Make no mistake about it. That's a stinky organization. And I don't think that that Buxton's playing more than, 50, 60 games this year. And for as talented as he is, and I know you can't really blame regression on injuries, I just don't think you're going to see that MVP quality player for the same reasons that I don't think you're going to see that out of many of the White Sox players in their lineup. So I like that pick. But with Stephen Kwan, I got his Baseball Savant page up right now. He is in the third percentage of average exit velo, first percentile in hard hit rate and barrel rate, 14th percentile in expected slugging. This guy doesn't make any quality contact whatsoever, like none at all. But he gets on base. He might just be one of those anomalies. And if he's not finding holes, you could see prolonged fucking slumps out of him. And um, hopefully that is the case, but he is a little prick at the same time. So I'm not, and I mean that in the best way possible. He's a little prick. He's everything that his former college teammate wishes he was.
Okay, here we're gonna go a little Oregon State
Yeah,
jab. Is that right? Because you're mad the White Sox took Nick
I'm not.
Madrigal fourth
I'm
overall when
mad
they
they
could
took.
have drafted a
I'm
pitcher.
not mad they didn't take Quan. I'm mad they took Madrigal fourth overall. Yes, for all these same reasons. Like it's
Yeah,
like he's trying to hit a
correct.
bowling ball, you know. But Quan's just figured it out.
Madrigal's my guy. Give him up. You're not allowed to say mean things about him. He's my guy now. I'm the only
You
one who
can
can
have
say
him.
mean things about Madrigal. And they're playing him at third. We're gonna get. Hey, by the way, go subscribe to the show. Go check
Hilarious.
out the National League preview, which is me, White Sox Dave, and Nick Tarani from Anus Podcast. Huge Pirates fan. We're sticking in the American League right now. We're getting in the late innings, boys, and I do want to have just like a little bit of fun with this. I talked a lot about Vinny already, and Dave, thank you for the unbiased, because I know if you you wouldn't say any of that if you didn't think Vinny was good. Like, in fact, if you disagreed with me, you'd bury me and you'd tell me Vinny fucking
No,
sucks. So, like, the
Vinny and
fact that
Max
you're
are
agreeing with
good
me about
players.
Vinny
I
should
don't know what
be
their
yes.
ceilings are, but they're quality players.
Now, Bobby Witt has an MVP ceiling.
Oh yeah.
And what the Royals are doing is they're creating this like college culture where the guys live together and they hang out together and they actually like each other. Like a group of guys live in a house together and their wives and all this stuff, and they've like converted the house so that they can all be together and work out together and shit. So that's why my surprise story for the seventh inning here: Royals flirt with the playoffs and are over 500 for the season, and that's the surprise story. Surprise story. Sale Perez, a Hall of Famer, but that's a different topic. Surprise story. You're supposed to get someone to say, "Wow,
Yeah,
what a
that's fair.
surprise." That's a
Yeah.
surprise.
I'm sticking Tigers again with my surprise story, and it's a guy that everyone is kind of on pins and needles about. We're gonna get a 20+ home run season out of Spencer Torkelson this year, and I think that that's going to be a huge sigh of relief for Tigers fans, given the way that he played in the early part of last season. Actually, let's amend that. He's going to lead the team in home runs. He'll lead the team in home runs this season with 20 or more, which I think Javi led the team last year with 17. He's starting to strike the ball in spring training. Seems like a different player at the plate. He's capitalizing on mistakes, which it seemed like bizarrely last season at points he almost suffered from being too patient. Like he took a lot of good pitches. Hopefully that changes this year. If that happens, he went 1-1 for a reason. There's no way he's as bad as he played a season ago. I think with the new regime in there, it's going to do wonders for him. So give me Spencer Torkelson leading the Tigers in home runs.
Yeah, he's a fucking crazy person. I think in offseason where he could reset and kind of flush his rookie year,
Yeah.
Was very necessary for him, because you could see it like he didn't know how to handle failure because he probably never really done it before.
Mm-hmm.
So I do like that pick. I don't want to say make or break year for him, but
Pretty big year.
it's a huge year for him.
Yeah.
Yeah, he needs to be that guy that everybody thought was going to be an MVP type, presence in that lineup.
Mm-hmm.
My surprise though is I think the White Sox stay healthy. So far, so good. Not a single injury that not one. I mean, a couple tweaks and twacks and twangs here and there, but nothing like last year where people are hanging on fucking outfield fences and tearing their shoulders up, or ACLs or UCLs or any other L's out there. So far so good, and they get Crochet back
Yeah.
really soon. So they're hitting the ground at least healthy, and if they stay healthy, they win the division. It's really as simple as that in my mind. But that would be
Perfect transition, Dave. Because I was gonna say the next one. This is my favorite topic on the board, and the eighth inning is my favorite inning in a baseball game. So there's a fun little personal nugget for you. All right. Worst, whatever you want to say after that. I'll just go. I think it's the worst division in baseball. Worst division.
One of the flyover divisions.
Yeah.
No, it's the worst. It's the worst. It's top to bottom.
Yeah.
It's because the Cardinals would run through that division. The Brewers would run through that division. Like the Cubs would compete, would go out and compete against the Twins if they played 162 times. The Cubs could compete against
One
the
thing
Twins.
we got to say
The
about
Cubs will
that,
finish
though,
way.
the schedules are much more balanced this year.
That's true.
The division you're in doesn't matter near as much as it used to. So yeah, it is probably the
Only
worst.
pride.
Pride. I mean, I don't have any division pride, but at the same time, I don't hate any. Like I've talked to Chris about this before. I don't hate anybody else in the Central Division. It's cyclical. Right now, I kind of hate the Indians, but I like in other years I don't. Some years it's been the Tigers. Some years it's been the Twins. Never really been the Royals, but it's like cyclical. It's not like Cubs Cardinals, but it is a trash division. It's a trash division, and on that note, because it's a trash division, it's a division with Cleveland that's about the size of fucking Aurora. Milwaukee, that's like it's basically a suburb of Chicago. Minneapolis is Minneapolis. Kansas City, I don't think anybody's ever gone to Kansas City ever. The White Sox are the one large market team in that division, and they should be financially bullying people, using their financial might and their market size to just shove these other teams in lockers. And they have never, ever, 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 ever done that. They've never done that. And on that note, that's why Jerry Reinsdorf is the worst owner in all of baseball. People see this Forbes thing that came out last night that said the Sox lost like $50 million last year or something.
Jesus.
The White Sox themselves last year, or not last year, it was I think it was 2020. There was another Forbes article that came out that said the White Sox were the fifth most profitable franchise that year, and everybody was melting down. It's like, how can you fucking rake in all this cash and not spend for better free agents? Blah. The White Sox themselves preempted. I didn't even say a word about it because I don't like to jump to conclusions, which is difficult to do sometimes in social media. But they told me, they're like, Forbes has absolutely zero access to any of our financials. They have no idea how much money they win or lose. Now, fast forward to last night with Bob Nightingale's tweet. Bob Nightingale, everybody knows, is Jerry's little fucking errand boy for the media. Like anytime the White Sox need something out there, it goes through Bob Nightingale and Jerry Reinsdorf. Said, I think last night was a telltale float this out there so people really know how much we're struggling financially. No. You guys told me to my face, well, via text message, that those numbers, like Forbes doesn't have access to those numbers, and they're all just complete and total guesses. So you can't have it both ways, White Sox. Like Jerry Reinsdorf, fuck yourself. Please sell the team. Get someone in there who wants to win above, netting an extra couple million on the sale price when you do so.
Yeah, I could say all the same things about Chris Ilitch, but I'm going to go worst contract, and I'm going to go Javi Baez. I'll feel one way or the other based on how he performs this year, but considering I don't see him opting out, Javi Baez is going to be this team's shortstop for another 5 years, and I think that's going to drive some people crazy.
If you get people around Javi, he's a great player.
Yes.
I think it's tough to build around him.
You can't.
So that's how I'd like to. But Chris, let's I have biggest asshole in the division, and Dave said prick earlier about Stephen Kwan and said like, hey, I actually mean that as a term of endearment. That's kind of how this stuff works. Like mean stuff isn't actually that mean. I've tried to explain this in other previews. Chris, who do you have for biggest asshole? Give me a tour here.
I mean, okay, it's a short tour, but I'm gonna say all the same things that Dave just said about his owner. I'm gonna go Chris Ilitch. I think he's been completely cheap with the team. I think they have not fulfilled promises. Last year, and when they were in the midst of one of the worst offensive seasons of all time, he came out at a press conference and said, "I think we're making great progress." You look at the teams that have he's put out there since he became full-time owner. It's been nothing but this god-awful, miserable era of Tigers baseball. And while I do think that they'll be better than some people make them believe they're going to be, they're going to struggle again this year, and they're going to continue to milk Miguel Cabrera's final seasons for as much as possible to try to get people's butts in seats. They've essentially made him a glorified mascot at this point. It annoys me. So, yeah, I mean, subject to change if they get good. I'll be happy to compliment him. But right now, big thumbs down with the way Chris Ilitch has done things in Detroit.
You guys loved his dad,
Dave,
though.
you got a biggest asshole in the division?
Me? Biggest asshole in the division is Yoan Moncada. I fucking hate this guy now. And
I
everybody
figured,
knows,
yeah.
everybody knows about the ban list and what it led to with Cusack and all that shit, but it was originally made because Yoan Moncada back in 2018 was I saw the talent from like a physical standpoint. I just didn't but his biggest issue is that he wasn't aggressive enough. And I always in my brain have said it's easier to teach someone to be more aggressive and like on making passes at a baseball than someone like Tim Anderson having them tone it down.
Yeah.
And he did it for 2019. He was incredible. He was like, you're like, this is the MVP type player you're going to get, like a Jose Ramirez type player, switch hitter, power, walks, plays outstanding defense, which never left. But like he took a little knee to the rib cage in the World Baseball Classic. I've watched this clip a million times. I don't even know if it hit him, but it looked like he got shot with a sniper rifle from the stands. He took such a hard fall. It's like, dude, get the fuck up. You already made your money. It's not like it can cut you prior to getting all this guaranteed money you have. It's like you're not really playing for anything other than like winning at this point. You already got your contract. You've already made almost $100 million and you're like 27 years old. Go and be that stud that everybody thought you were going to be. And it's just like the way he carries himself. And I know this doesn't really matter, but it rubs me the wrong way. Like, play tough, man. Like, that's why I loved guys like Danny Mendick.
Yep.
Like, those guys, like, in spite of their physical limitations, went out and played.
Hey, we got to stay MLB level here, Dave. We're not going to do Danny Mendick shout-outs in the AL Central.
He signed a major league deal.
But admit Danny Mendick is a layer a little too deep.
He was just first thing that popped in my head. But, like, he plays hard. The grinder ball guys, Aaron Rowan, we can use him as an example.
Yes,
Guys that maybe physically limited, that get the most out of their potential. Yoan Moncada has all the tools in the world.
Well,
doesn't get the most. I don't like those kind of guys.
There's a reason I am going last in assholes because you and I had the same asshole on the sheet. And I don't want to talk about you are the one who should be telling people Yoan Moncada is an asshole, not me. But me on the outside looking in, I think he's an asshole. And here's why. He should be the best player in that division.
Yeah.
He should be a top
MVP ceiling. Yeah.
He is physically amazing. And the stuff he does instinctually incredible. But he has the lowest spectrum as a baseball player. He does the laziest shit. He takes more nights off than anybody else. He takes more pitches off, more bats off, more games off. There's nobody in baseball, in my opinion, more checked out on a day-to-day basis than Yoan Moncada. Still a good player, but he's just not there, and that bothers me because I'm in more pitches for the White Sox than that guy, and I'm not even a White Sox fan. I shouldn't say it like that. That's mean to Yoan Moncada. He's a very talented baseball player. This is the Barstool Baseball Preview Show. Extra Innings is what closing prediction thought, what hot topic didn't get on here. Guys, we're quick here. I told you, we're overtime. We're already into Extra Innings, but we should wrap it up appropriately. Let's start with you, White Sox, Dave.
I think the White Sox do win it. I really like, from everything I've heard about Pedro Griffel, nothing but the best. That's going to be different, and I think that will play to their benefit this year big time because, I mean, even Lance Lynn, who had a great run with Tony La Russa in St. Louis years ago, like he said, he's like, Tony just wasn't the same guy. Unfortunately, the owner had to beg him to come out of retirement to manage the last 2 years, but it was a disservice to not just the organization, but to Tony himself. I think that is going to help. And, like I said, should they stay healthy, they run through the division. I really think so. I mean, they lost the division by 11 games last year, I think it was, but they were a game or two out with like 2 weeks left, and then they lost 8 in a row, and then the Guardians got insanely hot, and that's where the 11 games came from. But that's not going to happen again this year.
Yeah, I'll keep mine short. I don't believe that an American League Central team has made it past the ALDS since Cleveland made it to the World Series in 2016. That's going to change in 23. I got Cleveland making it at least as far as the American League Championship Series this year. So, yeah.
I like that, Chris. See, there is division
Yeah.
pride, even if White Sox State wants to deny it. Guys, thanks so much
course.
for joining us. This is the Barstool Baseball Preview Show. Check out our stuff. Subscribe to our channels. Don't make me do bad things to get your attention. Until next time.